We're live.
Welcome in, everyone. I am Jack Neary. We're here with Mr. Matthew Scott. We are bringing more fantasy football information to all of you. How are you doing, Mr. Matthew Scott?
I'm very good. Finished my marathon 30 hours of player reviews for everybody now. So we've got 4 articles in the Everyday Fan website of A to Z, all the 32 teams, 248 players, stats, game performances and production for people to view for their mock drafts.
How many pots of coffee? That's what we're all really interested in.
I think there's a few late nights, so probably a good few.
No, they're fantastic reads, though. Get over to the everydayfan.com. Check out their memorabilia. Matthew has his initial, right? Because that's what they are. We're constantly changing here. His initial fantasy football thoughts, predictions, outlooks, all that stuff.
In short, basically, for guys, when you look at a player, it's their production this year, the last 2 years, how many 50-plus games they've done, how many receptions they're getting in games, their air yards. So when you look at a player, especially when you're looking at wide receiver 2, 3, and 4, which guys will step up for you when you're looking for depth on your roster?
Right, and that's all good. You know, you want to have all this information. That way, when you go to draft day and you hang out with your buddies, or if you're just doing this, via video, if you're still in an area that's still kind of a little locked down, or I've had outbreaks and stuff. You're still able to have all the information there and feel good about your draft. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah,
I want everybody to win, except if you're in our league.
And remember, as we all know, Jack, drafts aren't won in the first 4 rounds. They're won from the mid to back end when you've got injuries, you've got bye weeks, and you don't need to be hitting the waiver wire every week.
That's absolutely true. But the party's on draft day, right? That's what we're all interested in. No, but I do want to talk about real quick. I'm doing some of my own research here, and we have in my opinion, it's a running back entourage, right? It's the guys that you really, you put them in your starting lineup and you go, oh, he's giving me 14 or he's giving me 20, right? You're excited. There's not a defense out there that can stop them and you're not worried. Okay, this is my running back 2021 entourage, right? They're must-haves so that your whole team feels stronger, right? I got Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. I've got Nick Chubb, I've got Alvin Kamara, I've got Ezekiel Elliott, and I've got Jonathan Taylor. That's my entourage.
Yeah.
In no particular order either. Because after that, to me, you take the step down. It becomes weak. You've got questions, You're headed to church. You're praying for running backs. That's what you're doing, okay? You've got Aaron Jones. Is the other Aaron staying in town? We don't know. Cam Akers, Matt Stafford's there. And this is the first time that Cam Akers is going to be taking over all the reps in the area.
That's the big thing. Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson last year both had dominant games, and Sean McVay very much like Bill Belichick is, where he doesn't have he's only recently, as in Damon Harris has he had a number one.
You always bring it. It's always hashtag Matt's Pats. You always bring it back to Bill Belichick.
I think those guys are probably going to share. So you'll see one game, a bit like the start of last year for the Rams. Cam Akers started the first game, had the most carries. Then Darrell Henderson had a couple of games when he was the main carrier. Then Malcolm Brown had a game when we had the big share. I think all year it's going to be those two sharing games. By the end of the year, they're probably going to be 55-45, 50-50. There won't be much difference between them, but I think Cam Akers will probably have the bigger games.
And it's not a game I want to be. That's what I want to get as. It's not a game I want to be playing. Yeah. Okay. If you asked me out of Aaron Jones, Cam Akers, Joe Mixon, Antonio Gibson, which is your next kind of lot of guys, okay, in the order I like them, I'll tell you what, I like Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Followed by Antonio Gibson. After that, I'll put Aaron Jones and then Cam Akers, because if Aaron Jones gets Aaron Rodgers, and that's a huge if still. That's not going away. It's gone away for now, right? And we've kind of haven't said much about it because the Julio Jones news is big this week, right? It's a whoever, what news stream we're talking about now. But Aaron Rodgers' situation is still real. It's still fluid and still a problem.
Where do you fall on Raheem Mostert this year?
I like the starting running back in San Francisco, whomever that is. And that's another thing. Who is it going to be from week to week? Is Mostert going to be there? Or we're not sure about any of it.
Well, I think if Trey Lance starts, we know he's got good feet because he ran for over 1,000 yards in his last season.
Yeah.
So does that limit? And I know they've got 3 running backs they'll use. So I think it could be Raheem Mostert, Trey Sermon, and Elijah Moore and Elijah Mitchell could all get the snaps.
Here's how I feel about that. Okay, here's how I feel about that. Because you'll have to make this decision. Okay, all you guys that are watching, right, around the world, all you guys that are watching, all right,
around the world,
right? So we're all spinning. Here's how I look at this. Okay, you'll have an opportunity to take Raheem Mostert, and you might have the discussion with yourself whether to take Raheem Mostert or Darren Waller. That's a real thing. Am I right?
That's a real thing, yeah.
That's a real thing. You might have a discussion with yourself whether to take Raheem Mostert or Odell Beckham. More real things. Okay, and what I would do is I would take the person that has the most upside. So both of those cases, I take the other player besides Mostert.
Well, I know we were chatting about obviously from the running backs as well. So the players that I really like for this year in terms of production and chance. So efficiency it could be an issue with these guys with their lines, but these are the guys that have got the potential to put big games together. Philip Lindsay at the Texans. I know they're going to be behind in games, but unfortunately, the NFL, you have to run the ball as well. You can't get away with having a running back but not running the ball. You at least have to have a chance to establish the run. And if they can slow the game down and run the ball, then that helps them to be closer in games come the end. And it's less pressure on Tyrod Taylor or Davis Mills come in the games also. I think they're going to use Mark Ingram and Philip Lindsay, but Philip Lindsay will be the main guy. Miles Sanders at the Eagles, he's going to be there to help Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is not going to be a gunslinger. He's going to be another Tua. And I don't see him passing for many 300-yard games.
Listen, so, and I like that. Now, Miles Sanders is ranked lower than all these running backs I've named so far. Okay,
and he shouldn't be.
I don't think he should necessarily be ranked lower than a Cam Akers. I think actually they kind of sit side by side for me. If you had one of those top guys, let's say, for instance, right? Let's say you got Saquon Barkley, right? Right, you cheers and you do a shotgun and you're having a great time, right? Because you got Saquon Barkley, right? You're partying. You might be in New York, right? I don't know where you're drafted from, but wherever you're from, right? You're high-fiving everybody because of 2 things. A, you got Saquon Barkley, and B, the chances of guy tearing his ACL and getting majorly injured 2 years in a row are very slim to none, right? It just is. Yeah. So you get somebody like him, and you get a top wide receiver because one's going to fall to you. Right, because people are going to be trying to gobble up running backs, right? And then all of a sudden you turn around in the 3rd or 4th round, or to maybe top of the 4th, and you got Miles Sanders sitting there. That's where I think that's great, don't you?
I do. And then the people, I think there are plenty of running backs that fall, and I think Chris Carson is a guy that's going to fall, but he obviously last year had injuries, but he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 28 and 2019. Put him in 14 games, he can get you 1,000 yards again, and he's going to be a steal. You've got Mike Davies. I know me and you differ on him a little bit, but I think at the Eagles, look how well he did for the Panthers when CMC was down in terms of receiving and the running game. I think he's got loads of upside, and I think Zach Moss can really threaten Devin Singletary this year in terms of being the main guy.
I think so. I think Zach Moss is a good running back. He was a good running back in college, and I think that in terms of dual threat, maybe not so much, but I think he is the pure running back out of him and Singletary. Okay,
he's good for 900.
If you're looking for the running back for Buffalo, I think it's Moss over Singletary.
Yes.
If you're looking for the hybrid, I believe it's Singletary. So that's where, I don't think there's a huge difference. I'll throw it right out there. I don't think there's a huge difference between standard leagues and PPR. People get tricked by PPR.
Yeah.
Oh, but you get a point or a half a point per. Look it. All that means is it gives somebody like Julian Edelman for years, right? It gives him a little bit more value. No, seriously, he could really stand alone because of the receptions he gets against, a wide receiver, like a Julio Jones or, in his heyday, a Calvin Johnson, who really just catches touchdowns.
James White was a prime PPR.
Right. There are guys out there where you could steal late or in whatever. James White in PPR leagues will go like 2 or 3 rounds earlier than he normally would. Yeah. But I don't think that his value should drop as much in standard leagues. I really don't.
Well, I think he's one person that we signed him for 1 year. We've got JJ Taylor. The team's getting younger. If Bill Belichick said, like, you're the long-term plan, he would have got a 2 or 3 year contract because he's still the right side of 30. But this 1 year contract says to me, we'll have you on board, but I don't see the James White that got 500 plus receiving yards. Is not that guy anymore.
No, and
JJ Taylor's going to be more involved. So you've clipped James White now.
They're moving in a different direction too. They're trying to get younger. They're trying to get more dynamic. You can tell. This is a transition year, and then it's Mac Jones's team, and then we're off to the races with new talent. That's and Belichick made the mistake and got too cute for a couple years and thought he can just manufacture wins by grinding out games. And what happened was, he didn't want to change while the NFL was changing. No. The NFL was scoring more. They were throwing more. They were actually giving more leeway to offenses to perform. And he kind of thought that he can get away with his old and plodding ways. And now he sat back and he went, you know what? I need offense. That's it. That's it.
But I think the NFL now, the hybrid back is going to be the key to winning games. So Trey Sermon's a hybrid back. Javonte Williams can catch the ball. Michael Carter can catch the ball. Then you've got DeAndre Swift and you've got Antonio Gibson. You've got Chase Edmonds that can do both. So I think going forward, the days of a team having a guy that's just a Zeke Elliott, where he can catch the ball, but the hybrid backs, I think, are coming in now, and I think they're going to be here to stay. I think they're going to be where you get your fantasy points, because if you can get a guy that can rush for 60 yards, but also get 35, 40 yards receiving, you want to be going for them.
The only guy that I mentioned out of the running back entourage, by the way, that I don't believe I guess he has been, because he catches the ball and then takes it to the house. I was going to say, he doesn't get volume catches, which would be Derrick Henry or Nick Chubb, but the ones that they catch, they're touchdowns. They're gone. Well,
Derrick Henry's anomaly. Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb are going to get 15 to 18 touches a week, no problem, but they don't need to catch the ball. It's when you start looking at players that go, actually, you're not the guaranteed number one, but their efficiency isn't good enough to have 10 touches and get you 5 yards of carry every touch.
Let me ask you this question, because it's going to be a big deal later on in the draft. Okay, because you're going to have to choose, because I've had to a couple times. Sometimes I choose with my heart, but I also believe my heart follows the guy who's going to get the most touches. Okay, who would you choose in Tampa? Do you believe it's Ronald Jones or Leonard Fournette?
Part of me still thinks Ronald Jones for the last 3 years has been an efficient running back for the Bucs, and they know, yes, Leonard Fournette can be streaky. He's only got 4 100-yard games since 2018. Ronald Jones had 4 alone last year. But when he gets 10 plus touches, he is good with the ball because he works his way into the game. The Bucs know that. I still think that Ronald Jones is still going to be a vocal point, but you're going to get games where Leonard Fournette is hot.
See, for me, I believe that, even though, because you get this idea of this hybrid back, and he can't be a big guy. which is not further from it's so
No.
far from the truth. It's ridiculous. Leonard Fournette can catch the ball. In fact, he runs great running back routes, and I think that's going to keep him on the field. I think Ronald Jones has the same kind of hands that Jordan Howard does.
But then with the Bucs, let's throw this into the mix. You've just got Giovanni Bernard come. Giovanni Bernard isn't great running the ball, but receiving yards, he's had over 400 targets in his career. So if they didn't get James White, so they went to the next best option, which was Giovanni Bernard. Does that mean Tom Brady wants a guy like James White in the backfield?
I think he fills LaShawn McCoy's role. That's just I think it's a nothing burger. I think Giovanni Bernard will play a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think Tom wants that, and he always has had that big back blocking for him. He wants the best guy, and I mean it builds confidence for you. If you got Leonard Fournette's a bouncer at a nightclub. That dude, you better behave. Right? Because no, I'm serious. Leonard, you better behave. That boy is just a bomb of a man. And when Leonard Fournette wants to show up, linebackers know it. And I just believe that, the games that you do get from him are going to be super valuable, and you're going to be able to steal him in the 9th round, I think. And people are going to take maybe Ronald Jones starts off strong. Maybe it plays a lot like last year, but we're trying to win the championship, right? We're not trying to win the first 3 weeks.
Yeah. I've got one scenario.
Okay.
How many targets do you think J.D. McKissic had in the running game, in the passing game last year? Just a guess. What?
How many targets?
How many targets did he get? How many targets and receptions did he get? Because it's scary when I saw it.
We'll say 50 targets.
110 targets, 80 receptions.
And where was he at last year?
Washington.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You've got Jared Patterson, which is undrafted free agent. From Buffalo is your downhill runner. You've got Antonio Gibson, which is both. And then you've got McKissic that comes in and he's primarily a pass catching back, but Gibson can go north and south and use the lines to extend plays. They've got 3 different backs there, but J.D. McKissic's value last year was ridiculous. The amount of people that didn't catch on until mid-season what he was doing, and suddenly in waiver wires, people were fine to get him.
So, I mean, is he standard or PPR?
He would be PPR.
Okay. Oh, because some guys work both ends.
Yeah, and it's like Boston Scott can come and get involved, but you don't really trust him. What's your take on Chase Edmonds now that's with James Conner there?
I mean, I don't think Arizona wants to run the ball.
Because Benjamin's good. His college numbers are out of this world. I think he gets the snaps, but it's such a murky backfield. It's not going to be cleared up soon who the main guy is.
A lot of me believes that what Kingsbury's doing in Arizona, and I'm sure, you guys can at me and say that it's not and all this other stuff, but doesn't it feel like a Chip Kelly offense? It
does. Yeah, so, I 100% agree. Yeah. He plays college football, but it fits certain players, and it's a very limited system.
There is a certain aspect of football where you need to be able to run a guy over, set the tone, all this other stuff. And for me, I just, Arizona's going to be a fun fantasy team, but not for running the ball. Again, we've had this conversation, and for our viewers out there, guys, I like drafting running backs that teams are going to need to run. And by that, I mean cold weather. Okay, if the weather gets cold, they're going to have to run. So like Carolina McCaffrey, he's fine because it's all they really have.
But there's one name that pops up now for us, is that the Steelers this year, I know you like Najee Harris.
Do I?
Do you give Najee Harris the lion's share now, or do you share that between him and Anthony McFarland, because Jalen Samuel's a pass catching back And Benny Snell had his chance to be the next guy, but he didn't really do it. So it's got to be between Najee Harris and Anthony McFarland, who is the next heir apparent.
I don't know if Najee Harris is good. Okay. I don't, because he ran behind an Alabama line that was fantastic. All right. And Pittsburgh's line is not fantastic. They're bad.
No.
So do I think that Najee Harris, that's another guy, he's being drafted pretty high up there, and I'm out. Like, you, just because you're the starting running back, go ask David Montgomery how easy it is to run behind a bad line. And by the way, Roethlisberger's rank, right, which I was reading, is 22nd. Okay. Yeah. Right after him is Justin Fields. They think he's done. And if he's done, he can, and his wide receivers ranks aren't good either. Okay, Claypool's 28 and he's got talent, let's be honest.
He's definitely under. That ADP is wrong. He should be a lot higher than that.
But is he under? Because if you can't have somebody because if Roethlisberger's done and can't deliver the ball, which is what they're trying to say with all this, Pittsburgh's going to crumble. And I don't mean to be the basher of the Steelers, but you guys have gotten by on just getting by for a little too long.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel about that. Najee Harris is not going to find fantastic holes that he found in playing for the Crimson Tide. And how does he react to that? Because I don't think there was any great running back. There were no Bo Jacksons that came out of this draft. You see any Barry Sanders running around out there? How about LaDainian Tomlinson, Marshall Faulk? I don't see any of them. And those are the only guys that I think that can excel behind an offensive line that is lackluster.
Well, that's the one of, I know, Jacksonville. I know we had the discussion straight after the draft. Travis Etienne and James Robinson, that is going to be very, very awkward in fantasy football, because James Robinson, what was probably him and Justin Herbert were the best two wave wire pickups by far.
Sure, yeah.
But you can't, if you're the Jags, you suddenly can't demote James Robinson and go, oh, by the way, I know you were great last year. I know you were pretty much you were pretty much our only bright spot last year, but you're now going to have to give up, and now it's 50-50. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't think that's going to happen at all, actually. I actually think, I'll tell you what, James Robinson's a good running back. If you watch the games, he would survive in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh should have traded for him, because I watched him get trashed at the line of scrimmage and find a way to 3.5 yards. And I was like, dude, like, you better run to the sideline and get a new jersey. Like, I think it's time. It's the third play of the game. He's got rips and scrapes, and he's a good running back. And I'll compare, I don't want to compare him to one of the greats of all time, but I'll tell you what, he gets knocked down or he gets vertical and finds 4 or 5 yards somehow. I'm not worried about him. Actually, I think he'll be a steal late. Let's throw that guy in a bunch. Let's say you get Nick Chubb, cold weather running back, or Barkley, or any of any of the entourage. And then you got Robinson late. And then, but ATN's sitting there. Take both of them, because the Urban Meyer's open to anything. He was making ATN run wide receiver routes. Basically, asking Lawrence, hey, is he a good catcher? He goes, yeah.
How about the Broncos then? With Philip Lindsay gone now, Melvin Gordon isn't a running back one. But now you've got Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams shared the workload with Michael Carter at North Carolina last year. Do you take both of those because Broncos are going to run the ball?
So that changes. So that, I mean, I'm not here. Jeudy is late.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Jeudy's mother isn't drafting him early. Okay, but I'm going to tell you that Jerry Jeudy, no. Don't you, Mrs. Jeudy? Listen, your kid's
Jerry
fantastic.
Jeudy's mom is
a really
literally
good wide receiver.
literally on Twitter to you now.
No, he's one of the greatest route runners at Alabama, right? But the fact of the matter is that if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to throw you the ball, then you're Jerry Jeudy and you're playing with Drew Lock. But that could change soon, right? Yeah. Because Aaron Rodgers could be coming. I mean, those bags are packed and it's up to Green Bay. But he's coming. And Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, they could get absolute bounces. In fact, in dynasty leagues right now, you might take the chance to just go, I'll take me some Jerry Jeudy now or some Cortland Sutton now and plan for Aaron Rodgers being there. Those running backs could get bumps. And by the way, those running backs get bumps and Aaron Jones gets kicked down. And so does Devonta Adams. Have you seen him without a good quarterback?
No, that's the whole point.
Right. So, I mean, does he become Michael Thomas?
Well, that's one thing I said to you. I'm down on Michael Thomas on the basis that he's played with Drew Brees and he's never played with a bad quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and these matter. The talent matters. The obviously the history of what the player has done matter. But what we're doing here, me and Matthew Scott, we're predicting the future for you guys, right? We're trying to make sure that when you look at your team projections every week, all you need to go is to your local store for a couple beverages, order your pizza, and wait for the victory after Sunday night, right? Because you don't even need Monday Night Football. That's how good your team's going to be. You don't even need it.
Well, one of the things I look at is on the QB front. Which QBs do you like?
So,
or which
I made this list too.
Do you not like?
No, I'll give it. Listen, we're here to chat. I hope people are here to listen. Here's the 4 number 1 guys at the positions, which I predict they will not finish number 1. Mahomes, number 1 quarterback, will not finish number 1. Number 1, McCaffrey will not finish number 1. Tyreek Hill, not going to finish number 1. Travis Kelce, also not going to finish number 1. No. Okay. As long as we got that out of the way. I'm really, really high on Josh Allen because I am because I'll tell you what, I think he's going to have a better season this year. I think that I think he could have a better season than Mahomes. He runs more. He doesn't get dinged up. He's just a big strapping kid from Wyoming. He's what everyone in Philadelphia wanted, Carson Wentz to be and where he was headed before that injury.
Yeah.
Now, do I believe that I mentioned Carson Wentz because I think that he's a value pick this year. He's going to Carson Wentz is getting drafted around Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence. And I like Trevor Lawrence as well, but you haven't thrown a game. You haven't played in the NFL yet. It's going to speed up a little bit. I mean, I would either draft Josh Allen early or I would wait for one of those guys. And Mahomes is going to go early. Yeah. Lamar Jackson's going to go early. Kyler Murray's going to go early. I don't like how he gets injured and banged up a little bit. And Russell Wilson will be forgotten a little bit.
Well, I've got 6 guys that will all be different positions in the draft that I like for fantasy purposes. So Justin Herbert, it would be my main guy.
Oh.
Ryan Tannehill, I like. Tom Brady, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, and Matt Stafford. They're the 6 quarterbacks I like, but they'll all go at different times in the draft.
Tell us about Kirk Cousins.
I like Kirk Cousins because he's got Jefferson. He's got Thielen. He's got Irv Smith. He's going to have a Smith Marset. He's going to have Woot Fillmore. So he's got weapons. So
Dalvin Cook.
And they're all
Dalvin Cook.
And Dalvin Cook in the passing game as well. So he's got weapons, but Tannehill is super efficient, as we were chatting about earlier. Tannehill doesn't throw as many balls as everybody else. The reason why he's finishing 18th and to 22nd in pass attempts, but he's finishing 7th in touchdowns is he's just super efficient when he throws the ball. And I want a guy that's super efficient. And he'll go in the 10th or 12th round on the basis that he won't put up amazing fan points every week, but he'll be consistently around the 15 mark and he'll give me 25, 30, 4 times a season. But I know I'm not getting a week where he throws 3 interceptions.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are guys I wouldn't draft this year.
Who are you avoiding?
I'm avoiding Roethlisberger. I do believe that that elbow that he had issue with, he doesn't do pliability. He talks about he's into nutrition, yet he shows up with an extra chin every year. And that's not, listen,
Yeah.
I understand, but you're an athlete and you need to take care of yourself. And I'm just saying, you walk around every year and you talk about nutrition. How do you show up 10 pounds overweight? I'm just, sometimes the proof is in what you look like. Okay.
And what's your view on the ADP for Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson this year? Are you ready to commit to them early in the draft?
I would commit to Lamar Jackson. Kyler Murray last year, he played through injury and he just wasn't able to move. And when he's stuck in the pocket, he's not great. That's just the truth. Kyler Murray, when he's stuck in the pocket and he's not able to duck and move and act like a shortstop in baseball, he's not great. I'd rather Lamar Jackson because I think Lamar Jackson's a little bit quicker. He's a little bit bigger of a man. And I really believe that he's had conversations with Michael Vick about, listen, get out of bounds. I really think Michael's like, dude, I was better than you. I run a 4.72 now, and I was running 4.3s and 4.2s and all this other stuff. I was running fantastic times. They'll clobber you.
Yeah.
So I think he's got the mentor with Michael Vick sitting there going, hey, look, just learn the defense, get out of bounds, use your gifts, do this, do that, and the other thing. I actually think that Kyler Murray is eventually going to break down.
And what in terms of rookies, I know this divides a lot of people. Do you take a chance on Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence this year in hopes they have big seasons?
Okay, so here's how I look at this. I actually like all the rookies. I'm not willing to say. I'll tell you what, there probably will be a rookie bust out there because there's always a bust somewhere. Yeah. But if you're looking for a rookie bust, maybe it's a guy that just doesn't play a lot. So maybe your rookie bust is Trey Lance because he doesn't play a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So Mac Jones is going to see the field probably week 4, week 5. It's coming. Listen, as long as you're the fan, right?
We're not 3-0. We're not 0-3, by the way. So
well, I mean, look, it's not going to be hard to take a job from a guy who threw 8 touchdowns last year. That was Cam Newton. You guys can look that up. I'm not even talking trash. I'm talking stats. That's what we're here for. Stats, in fact, just the stats, Jacks, right? So Mac Jones is going to take that job over. I think it's going to take Zach Wilson a little bit of time because I think that his arm, albeit a little bit more lively than Trevor Lawrence, I don't think he's quite the athlete, but I think he'll be good. I think Zach Wilson's going to be a good quarterback. I think the Jets, when I compared him and did my comparison, I really like him being like almost like an Aaron Rodgers. Like he really does have, but Aaron Rodgers now, not when Aaron Rodgers came out, he really does have a good arm. The Jets really got a good guy.
I know Justin Fields has got a good arm, but the Bears, when Matt Nagy is apprehensive of everything screams for excitement, you want to start Justin Fields now. But the fact that he's going, look, I don't want to throw his kid into the mix first of all, says to me that he's had a word with just how big the step up is.
Yeah, and Justin Fields will come along. I think Justin Fields is a fine play. If Justin Fields gets to come along the same way Jalen Hurts did, I think he'll be better than Hurts because I think he's a better passer. For everybody.
Better than Tua as well.
Yeah. I think that there's a little bit of Lamar Jackson in there, and he can into Deshaun Watson. That's who I had him compared to. And I think once he's able to move in, I'll tell you what, because he kind of doesn't know himself. Okay, I know he thinks he's good, he's great, all these other things, he's working hard. Justin Fields doesn't really know if he's going to hit the windows yet himself.
No, he doesn't.
But once he hits his first couple windows, like Deshaun Watson did, once he hits a couple, he's going to go, oh, I got it. I'm fine. Yeah. Matt Nagy and him are going to get along. It's going to be good, but he needs to hit one. He needs to hit one of those balls where what was it? Justin Fields or Justin Herbert only saw like the whites of somebody's fingers and snapped the ball in there. Once he throws one of them, he'll be set to go. I think Lawrence will be the quickest to catch people's eye, but as the year goes on, I do believe that there are going to be some throws you're going to see from Wilson, and you're just going to go, man, go Jets. I think even hashtag Matt's Pats will be sharing a Twitter video of Zach Wilson just shredding. All right, that guy's going to be shredding like Jerry Garcia at a summer festival.
and what wide receivers do you like after kind of round 4, round 5 from the ADPs?
It depends if they'll go late. And we'll see what the information is about, how Burrow feels, because he's in camp and stuff, but I don't know if he'll come out game 1 or game 2. All signs point to yes, but I do like Claypool. I do like Jamar Chase. Give me a Michael Gallup late.
Yep.
I don't want anything to do with Amari Cooper. I don't care if he's free.
No, that's why I've got CeeDee Lamb for me is going to be. Yep. I've got CeeDee Lamb will fall, but I'm happy taking CeeDee Lamb in the 6th.
But I don't think right. Okay, then that's a good point. CeeDee Lamb will fall. Don't get Cowboys fans. Don't get nervous. We like CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's going to be just fine. I think Galladay is going to fall. I don't know why. Maybe you don't believe in Daniel Jones, but at the end of the day, Daniel Jones is going to force some balls in his direction, and I think Galladay is going to bring back some value.
One name that will fall, that falls every year? Sure. Cole Beasley.
Because he's a waiver wire guy.
He got 973 receiving yards last year.
I'm not arguing. I just like him when it's in the snow and they got a dunk and dink and all those other things. Listen, Cole Beasley is a good player. But I don't think I think I would take a chance on a Ruggs or a Rieger over a Beasley.
Even though he's consistent every week.
Yeah, because I want the home run. I want to be able to knock somebody out. You can be a good boxer, but who doesn't want Mike Tyson's right hand? Everybody. Right? Everybody wants listen, you're you're over in Ireland, right? Frank Bruno was a fantastic boxer. That dude his eyes were crossed, laying on the ground.
Yeah.
I'd rather a good right hand. I think it's
Russell Gage for me is another one. I love Russell Gage last year. If Julio Jones goes, I love Russell Gage even more.
If Julio Jones goes, Kyle Pitts' stock might be insane. There's not a player that's going to be able to do anything to Kyle Pitts. Look at.
He's already going in round 4 or round 5 in my mock drafts already.
Yeah, and that's probably fair because round 4 or round 5 you're going to have real questions about am I taking this guy or should I take this or what's the upside here? What's the upside? Kyle Pitts is unguardable.
We don't know that yet.
I do. I've seen so much tape of him.
We've seen tape of him in college. He's not taken a snap in the NFL yet.
Yeah, but I'm not. Again, it's not the 2 best players that were coming out of the top 3 players that came out of the draft were Lawrence, Pitts, and Chase, and you could put them in any order.
But him and the advantage I think Jamar Chase has, he played with Joe Burrow in 2018.
Oh, that's a huge advantage.
So when he goes in, Joe Burrow knows the speed of the NFL. So it's just a case of, I need you to be here. But that's easy for them. They've got that connection. When you start looking at players that have got no connection with a quarterback, he may think he plays the game quick, but Matt Ryan's been in the league for a long time. So Matt Ryan's quick and Kyle Pitts quick could be completely different.
I think he'll be just fine. Kyle Pitts basically, made Kyle Trask's life very easy last year. Yeah. It was throw it to me, and if you don't want to throw it to me, use me as a decoy, and you'll have a great year. I think that Matt Ryan's a very smart guy. He went to Boston College University. I think they'll figure out the timing just fine. While we're talking about Joe Burrow, before we cut out, would you where do you see T. Higgins now? Is he the 2?
T. Higgins is the 2, but it's a bit like if you look at Laviska. Laviska Shenault Jr. and T. Higgins are both highly productive when they get targets. T. Higgins had a great year last year, over 800 receiving yards. He's probably going to get that again this year, but he has consistent games every year. He's probably going to finish a top 30 wide receiver next year.
Higgins.
But I'm happy to get T. Higgins in round 7 because I know I can count on him to make the big catches. He's not going to have many drops. He's a guy that isn't going to be flashy. And he's not a guy. Chase Claypool for me last year, I think where he'll be better is he had he had a couple of games where he got multiple touchdowns, and then he might have got 30 yards one week, 15 another, then he gets 70, then he gets 25. T. Higgins has consistency, and that's the key to being in the NFL for a long time. Is the quarterback know they can trust you to catch your targets.
So would you draft any wide receiver in Pittsburgh?
I think Deontay Johnson is massively underrated. He's a very, target wise, he's got a good catch percentage, over 70%. He catches deep balls. He knows how to correct his routes to come back early. He's a very good wide receiver. He's going to fall, but Ben Roethlisberger really likes him. That's the reason why he was looking for him to stretch the field last year. So he's going to be a steal if no one picks him up, because he could fall to round 9 because everyone else is dead set on getting the big players. And that's why I think Keenan Allen has to go early because of Justin Herbert. And I think Mike Williams has to be on your list because of their big play potential. You like your home run passes, you like your big touchdowns. Mike Williams has got to be in there for that.
Oh no, I'm on board with you. I actually, I know you have Keenan Allen rated to the moon, but for me, I don't think his stock is fantastical. I think he's a nice player, but I would much rather, because you're right, Justin Herbert will just sling it to Mike Williams, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, geez, I'm losing this game because Mike Williams has 2 catches for 98 yards.
Suddenly, he's a 40-yard touchdown. And
again, it just happens. It's not like it's a shot in the dark. He's gonna do it. Justin Herbert is going to force some things in his direction, because let's face it, Mike Williams is no slouch. Are you drafting real quick? One more question before we get out of here. Odell Beckham Jr. is ranked 22nd, probably going in the 4th round. Will you be drafting him?
Where have you got Robert Woods?
Robert Woods?
Yeah.
I think he's going 5th or 6th.
How about Darius Slayton?
Not on my board.
I want Darius Slayton.
Do you?
Yes.
God, I think I would take Evan Ingram before him.
Only because he's super consistent in games. And I know he's just 55 yards a game over his whole career so far. That's only get bigger when Kenny Golladay gets double teamed.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I want him. And he's probably going to go 10th, 11th round.
Yeah, probably.
And I think that's great value for him.
Yeah, that's excellent value for Darius Slayton. I think that, I'll tell you what, Beckham is an athlete.
I'd rather have Landry over Beckham.
Would you?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Did you see where Landry was ranked?
Landry's always going in the 8th round
because he's a steal every year.
He is, but he doesn't have that home run. There's no home run in him. You could wake up and sure, Beckham's going to disappoint you and give you 4 receptions for 30 yards, and you're going to be mad. And then 2 weeks later, he's got 6 for 160, and you went, he won me my week. Landry doesn't win anybody weeks, and that's my whole. The Darius Slayton's not winning anybody weeks.
What's your take on Nelson Aguilar? Massive season at the Raiders last year, 856 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. Multiple plays over 25 yards, absolutely destroyed secondaries with Derek Carr. He's going to go and play under Cam Newton, or he's going to play under Mac Jones. If we get Julio Jones on top of Kendrick Bourne, he has some massive home runs, and there's weeks where he's phenomenal, but he has quiet weeks per the Pat system.
Okay, so I like Aguilar as a person. I think he's a nice interview. He's a fun guy. With that being said, he does drop some balls he should have, and he catches spectacular ones. I think he's fast. He's got speed. I really like Nelson Aguilar only if Mac Jones is starting, because I really don't. I want people to understand the magnitude of how far, Cam Newton's really fallen as far as being able to throw the ball well. Like I've tuned in a couple times to watch him last year, and it's not good.
No, it's not
good at all.
He's going to be better this year.
What do you mean he's going to get? Did he get younger? No, but I'm serious. How do you were Class A to your Class C, and you only threw 8 touchdowns? How are you just going to get better?
We had no preseason, no camp, no chemistry. He had COVID week 4, and then had to deal with the side effects of COVID for the rest of the season.
Did he get caught? Was he careful?
Obviously not to get COVID. But COVID.
And again, it's always everybody else's fault. There's always an excuse for a player like Cam Newton, and everybody's always got his back. And for me, it's like, man, you threw 8 touchdowns in the National Football League. Okay, everybody's crying about Tim Tebow. Well, Timmy threw more than 8 touchdowns.
But look at the NBA. How many NBA players got COVID, and it took them 3 months to find their form again?
Yeah, no, listen, I understand that, and that Jason Tatum was one last night. He had 50 points. It was just, for me, if you threw 8 touchdowns, they'd be asking you to change your position. Right? Just saying. Maybe you can't throw it anymore. Oh, but I used to throw it in college, and I threw it over here, and I threw it over there. Yeah, well, that was a yesteryear thing. You know what I used to be able to do? Oh, I used to be able to dunk a basketball. Can't do it anymore. Any idea why? Because I got old and bad at it. They don't ask me to do it anymore. They go, hey, would you learn how to make an outside shot? Because that's what you're good at now. For me, I like Nelson Aguilar. I like Patriots tight ends.
Oh, yeah. I think it's Hunter Henry for receptions, Jonnu Smith for red zone.
Sorry, before we get out of here, you got any last words? I got your hashtag Matt's Pats. You give us your best 30 to 60 seconds.
Well, about Matt's Pats.
Sure,
we're going to win this. We're going to make the playoffs. We're going to finish 12-5. 12-5.
Oh God.
Aguilar's going to get 1,000 yards. If Jones comes, he gets 1,000 yards. And Cam Newton plays the whole season. 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, and he passes for at least 3,300 passing yards. That's least.
That's
at least.
Okay.
I reckon he could, with the players we've got, and if he can get air it out like he used to, he could be looking at 3-5, 3-6.
I hear that, Patriots fans. That's real optimism. Guys, I'm Jack Neary. That was Mr. Matthew Scott. That's our running back entourage, and that's some of the must-haves and conversations that you need to be having with yourself heading into the fantasy football season. Subscribe to our channel, like our pages.
And then and next week, I think we should cover tight ends. Go through and do a quick segment on tight ends, who we like, and who we think brings the most value, because is a hard position for anybody.
We'll get pictures up there for everybody of the tightest ends. That's what we'll be. That's what we'll be covering. We won't tell you who, right? But we will make sure that they are the best ends you've ever seen. Guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, mate, and I'll speak to you soon.